We are less than a month away from fans all over the nation booing and flicking off their television screen as Roger Goodell opens the 2021 NFL Draft. And with that, today I'm going to break down the quarterback class, who I think belongs where, what issues they have, what they do well, and who in the back end of the class actually has a shot in the league. Spoiler alert, Trevor Lawrence is pretty good. Starting off, I think Trevor Lawrence deserves a tier of his own at the top of the 2021 NFL Draft class. When it's all said and done, I do think that he'll go down as one of the best quarterback prospects of all time, along those of John Elway, Peyton Manning, and Andrew Luck. Lawrence is the one guy where it's hard to find any really concerning issues. I think his weakest part of his game is probably going to be going through progressions, and he's going to need to work on that before the pros, especially when it's a lot faster in the NFL. But Lawrence is near the perfect prospect. He's physically gifted, athletic, and has intangibles and leadership skills that he showed off at Clemson. His arm is extremely accurate and powerful. He has all the tools to be a franchise quarterback. It would be a shock if he didn't land with the Jacksonville Jaguars first overall. I think Lawrence is as close to a surefire star as you can get for a prospect, but the second tier of quarterbacks are the guys that I think can mold into a franchise quarterback if things do break the right way, starting with Zach Wilson. It seems like Wilson has been one of the fastest risers this offseason, and for good reason. His arm is the best in the class, in my opinion. Better than Lawrence, better than everyone. Wilson has a super powerful arm. He's extremely accurate, and I believe that he can come in and make any throw in the pros. Additionally, he's great with his feet, and he can extend plays if he has to. A lot of the knocks on Wilson are close to what we heard with Josh Rosen. Wilson is a kid who hasn't really faced any adversity. He grew up rich. His uncle owns JetBlue, and there's a lot of worries about his parents being a bit hard to handle and other concerns that he's just a selfish guy. Talent-wise, I think Wilson is the number 2 guy in the class, but the lack of leadership makes the decision interesting. Regardless, this dude is a stud, and I think he'll land with the New York Jets at number 2. Real quick, if you're enjoying the content, please do subscribe and help us on our way to 100K, and make sure you hit that bell notification so you never miss an upload. In the same tier as Zach Wilson is a guy that I've probably had higher than most for a while now, Trey Lance. For starters, I think Lance has been a bit overlooked for a while, and I would even consider taking him over Wilson if I were an NFL general manager. Lance is extremely talented. He's accurate, he has a great arm, and he's super mobile. He can make plays with his legs, and he can make throws on the run. Plus, he rarely turns over the football. That being said, he's going to take time. He's a raw prospect. Lance closely mirrors Josh Allen, both extremely talented coming out of college, and it's clear that they're very, very raw, and they didn't play against top-tier teams, obviously, with Josh Allen going to Wyoming and then Trey Lance playing in the FCS. Lance has things to work on, but I do think that he has one of the highest ceilings in the class, and personally, I would rather take the shot on the guy with the highest ceiling. I think Lance ends up somewhere between the 7 to 9 range. This is a really important spot in the NFL draft where you have the Detroit Lions and Denver Broncos, teams that I believe are all going to be looking for whoever can slide down to them, whether that's Justin Fields, Trey Lance, or Mack Jones. The final quarterback I would put in this tier that I think can be a future star if things break right is Justin Fields. I've been lower on Fields than most for a while, so it is interesting to see that scouts have him around that same boat. Fields is a very accurate passer, but I think he has a weaker arm than the 3 guys I've mentioned prior. The good news is that you don't need a powerful arm to make it into the league. Just ask Drew Brees. Fields can hit receivers. More importantly, he can hit receivers on the move. Fields is the most mobile quarterback in the class, and he rarely turns the ball over. While I prefer Lance, I do think Fields will be the third quarterback off the board, possibly to the San Francisco 49ers at number 3. That being said, I wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers chose to go with Lance and Fields falls to that 7 to 9 range. So those are the 4 guys that I think can be future stars in the NFL if things do go their way. But this next tier of players are guys that I think can start in the NFL in the future, but aren't going to be stars. Think about them kind of in the Kirk Cousins or Teddy Bridgewater range. And that tier starts off with a guy that I believe is going to be overdrafted in Mack Jones. To highlight on a couple of good traits first, Jones is a great passer. He's smart, good in the pocket, and he knows how to hit his wide receivers and route. Most of all, I think he's one of the best leaders in this class, potentially the number 1 leader out of all the quarterbacks. Powerful arm and mobility. Well, Mack Jones doesn't have either one. He doesn't have the most powerful arm, he isn't very mobile, and even for his size, he isn't huge. Additionally, he played on the best team in college football with 2 of the top receivers in the class. I usually hate that argument. Trust me, I usually hate that argument where you're like, well, he played with good players. But Jalen Waddle and Devonta Smith have to be mentioned. I think Jones is going to go in that 7 to 9 range. 3 teams in order need a quarterback, and I think the Denver Broncos at 9 might make the most sense. And if he drops past that, I wouldn't be overly surprised if we see him drop to the end of the first or even go to the second. There's a lot of quarterback needy teams in this draft, but I think a lot of them are picking higher. Another guy I think that could start in the NFL is Kellen Mond. Mond has been overlooked this entire process, in my opinion. He's far from a top guy, but I've been impressed. Mond has a strong arm, and he can make some pretty impressive throws. Additionally, he doesn't turn the ball over, and he can extend plays with his feet. He has a lot he needs to work on, though. Mond is on and off. He can be inconsistent as hell, but when he's on, he's on. Mond is not ready to start right now, but if he can get some time to mold, I think he has a ton of upside. I'd consider him a 2nd or 3rd round pick to a team wanting a potential starter without wanting to spend that draft capital. Finally, this is my last tier of quarterbacks in this draft. These are the final guys that I'm going to quickly gloss over that I think can actually have a future in the NFL, more than likely as backups. I expect all these guys to go either late day 2, but more than likely day 3 at the NFL draft. First off, I've been impressed with Davis Mills. 3 big things with him. He has a strong arm, good football IQ, and is mobile. He has problems with accuracy, and he didn't play much in college, but I do think that he has a good skill set for the NFL. He's an extremely accurate passer, and he has a good enough arm. More importantly for a game manager though, he rarely makes mistakes. I don't love him because I think he has a low ceiling. He doesn't move in the pocket, his arm isn't good enough, and if his offensive line collapses, well, he's done for. And lastly, I have Jameis Newman. Now, Newman is a hard guy to evaluate. He was supposed to transfer to Georgia, but instead opted out of the season to prepare for the NFL draft. Looking back now, that was a bad decision, and he didn't do himself any favors with a poor Senior Bowl performance. He has a good arm and mobility, but his accuracy needs a lot of work, and he makes a lot of bad decisions. There are a lot of other intriguing guys in the class, like Peyton Ramsey and Sam Ehlinger, just to name a few, but these are the 9 guys that I think have a future in the league and actually have a real shot of being drafted. Just a reminder, this is all just based off of what I've seen from these guys and what I think. I am in no way an NFL scout. I loved Josh Rosen coming out of college, and I thought that Lamar Jackson had no shot of making it. I was clearly wrong. That being said, I loved Josh Allen, and I hated Dwayne Haskins. And I nailed that one. But just remember that when you go hard on me in the comment section, that I'm just a guy sitting here watching some film and trying to evaluate guys for myself. I'm in no way an NFL scout, but hey, maybe I can do just as good of a job as them, considering that Jamarcus Russell and Tim Couch have gone first overall. Thanks for sticking to the end of the video. Again, help us reach 100K by subscribing to the channel and hitting that bell notification so you never miss an upload. When we reach the milestone, we will be giving away an NFL jersey. To enter, all you need to do is make sure you are subscribed and have notifications on. Then follow us both on Instagram and post a screenshot of you subscribed on your story and tag us both.